Facts only, bro.
Oh, really?
Bro, how you doing, man?
I do, brother.
Yeah.
So, Olamide dropped a tweet recently about his 10th album.
Yeah.
10 is a fantastic number. What do you think about the tweet?
First, let's read the tweet out. He said, next album, #, Unruly. 95% ready. Next line, release date equals, I don't know. Taking my time to make it the best ever. Probably my last album. Probably my last album. Do. I'll drop singles once in a blue moon. When I feel like it. It's been a mad-ass run, giving albums back to back. Emojis. By no means do I believe that Unruly is going to be Olamide's last album. Let's start. It's not going to happen. We are back. It's Jay-Z 2006, was it? 2006 was it? After Kingdom Come, or American Gangster, one of them. After American Gangster, Hov said, "Well, I'm done." Then I think Eminem after Encore, was it Encore? Eminem said, "I was done as well." We've seen it several times. Nobody's ever really done, especially when you're great at what you do. You've created a legacy, you're a superstar, there's a ready-made audience for you anytime you come back. You can make hit records, you can make successful albums, you have a machinery behind you that can push the album. It's very difficult for you to say you are done. When you have it's very difficult for you to say, oh, this is going to be my last album. It's unlikely. But what I can say is, look at Rihanna. Look at Rihanna, for example, Katy Perry. There was like a 3 or 4 year span run that Katy Perry dropped albums back to back. Every year there was a big single. There was a 3 year span during which she had like 12 or 13 number one singles. No, like 9 number one singles from like 2 albums. One version, one original, one deluxe, and then another album. I think Roar, then Teenage Dream Deluxe, then Roar, if I'm not wrong. Then Rihanna, between 2006 and 2013, she basically dropped albums every year. So you're looking at Music of the Sun, you're looking at Good Girl Gone Bad, you're looking at all those albums. Then up to the last album that she dropped, which was Anti 2016. But you also realize that between Anti, the album before Anti was like 2 years. So it's very difficult to sustain a run like that. Olamide has dropped an album every year since 2011. Since 2011. So it was Rhapsody, YBN, Baddest Guy Ever Lived, back to back. 2016, I think he dropped 2 albums. The collaboration album with Fino was one of them. 2018, it didn't seem like I was going to drop an album. YBN Mafia Family dropped. People should not forget that. Then 999 EP and Carpe Diem dropped in the same year as well. And now UI is going to drop last year, or really is going to drop this year. So that is 12 years and 12 years and 13 or 14 bodies of work. That's crazy. That's an incredible run. People don't do that. And it gets to a point where you feel maxed out. Ideas, especially when you have money, you have found success. Appetite, it's very hard to sustain appetite when you're successful. You need another thing to sustain you. Like, he has also found success as an exec. So, bruh, it's unlikely that he will be willing to do it. What's probably going to happen is, he's probably going to drop singles, feature here and there, because he still has possibly the most powerful cosign in Nigerian music. We are not going to see another Olamide album for maybe 3 or 4 years, but this is definitely not his last album. It's definitely not. But maybe even if you see an album within the next 3 or 4 years, it's probably going to be sparring. It's probably going to have release sparingly between that point and the end of his career. You look at Two-Face, for example, after Away and Beyond, his next album, Away and Beyond, was 2013 or 2014. His next album was 2019, Warriors. So you are looking at some of those things. It gets to Olamide is also 30. He's 33 this year. So, bro, it's legend. It's legend is certified already. So for him to then go forward, bro, you're looking at something else. It's tried.
So Olamide has OG status.
Yeah.
What do you think about his career and legacy?
When Olamide was coming into this industry, there was a little bit of cynicism around him. Dagreen had just died, unfortunately. Dagreen had also just released See You, which to a lot of people, a lot of rap fans in Nigeria, it's a classic. Even though to me it's not, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, it's not. So, a lot of people, it has classic material though. The entire body of work itself is not a classic. It could have been better executed. A lot of fillers around it that could have really removed. Anyway, Olamide came into the industry. It was signed to Codetius. It was one of 3 artists when Codetius became a label. So when them Yabacon boys, that the early Reminisce, Nice, all those boys were Codetius, Too Fat, Jobless, a lot of Ajasa. It wasn't exactly a record label, but it became a record label around 2008-9. So when Kabasa signed Olamide, Kayefi, and Seriki, you need to realize that Seriki is not a young guy. So signed the 3 of them, it became a label. Olamide came into the industry. Before then, there was some background work done. If, for example, people that are working at Hip TV at the time will tell you that Olamide, before Olamide launched, they came to Hip TV, they introduced him, they tried to plug him into the system using Kabasa's network of people. But the problem was when he came into, despite the fact that Enduro came out of the gates, if you guys remember correctly, it came out of the gates. Like, bro, we are talking, it was a rap record. It was a trap record when you even look at it critically. And it was a trap record. Launched out of the gates. Reportedly, he changed clothes 21 times in the video. But the funniest thing is when you look at those clothes now, they are not exactly the best pieces of apparel. Then the next single was a Wizkid record. The thing is, by the time Olamide dropped his debut album, he sort of went from a pretender to, okay, who's this guy? But the problem that the Wizkid wave and then the Davido wave that followed shortly after didn't allow us to exactly notice him. And then there was the Band wave, there was a P-Square, there was Savage happening, there was Burna Boy that was prepared to go off. Like, it prevented a lot of people from saying who he was. Like, we're also coming off the back of like the golden era of Nigerian hip hop. There was One Day Cole somewhere, there was the Prince. So you couldn't exactly, there was not exactly a niche for him. Nobody could see him. Like, everybody else was happening, but people, you noticed him, but you didn't exactly think he was going to last. Basically, that was the truth. But then, he released YBNL. YBNL was a turning point. A lot of people, we talk about Baddest Guy Ever Liveth a lot. Impact is the difference between Baddest Guy Ever Liveth. Even though it's an incredible album back to back, right? But YBNL is very, very close in terms of quality. But the fact that the industry didn't appreciate the album like they should have at the time, like people were talking about his voice, they were talking about the fact that I was cussing on records, like it was about everything else but the music, right? But the people like me, I grew up in the Southwest. Like the episode we did about this guy, for example, Portable. We were talking about Olamide. Number one, he has one of the best cosigns in music, in Nigerian music. But the thing is, Olamide defied odds to get to where he is right now, right? His first album was the only album that was released under a record label. YBNL was released under YBNL. Like, only one album from 13 was released on, so he has been on his own since he was 23, basically. 23 years old. He has been on his own as an independent, right? That means this guy that nobody really wanted to give a chance to, the hunger, like you could see that Olamide was there. The way he was talking, the way he was stressing his vocals. It's not now that Olamide is like, even when he was rapping on Portable, was many ways, but it's not the same voice anymore. And it's not because the voice is not there, it's just that the hunger and the passion and the will to prove something, to prove a point, is no longer there because it's achieved it. So the brand has to switch, the brand has to change. It's like a gardener in Nigerian music, basically. If he enters this place is going to shut down. He came to NSC, the NSC event on Saturday. He immediately entered the place. Even though he had the hoodie on, people didn't know it was him. Bruh, the moment he took off the hoodie, bro, everywhere shut down. It's Olamide. Forkana is a superstar, he's a legend, right? Then, after YBNL dropped, he started his record label, signed artists. You are looking at his legacy as an exec. In terms of like the greatest Nigerian record labels in Nigeria, top 5, top 7. Top 5, definitely YBNL has to be there. I'm not talking about catalog, I'm talking about the legacy, I'm talking about the artists, the people that Olamide has grown. He has grown into an incredible person with an incredible cosign as well. Then he left that point I released Baddest Guy Ever Liveth, which is possibly the greatest, top 3 greatest rap albums in the history of Nigeria. Top 3. Top 3. Quote me anyway, and that's facts only. You can argue in the comment section, that's a problem. But these are facts. Bro, you are looking at impact. You're looking at the quality of what he's saying. My mother knows Dros, my grandmother knows Dros. Okay, do you understand what that means? We are not talking about, yes, you can rap, but the problem is a lot of people don't want to think that these guys are rapping. What is rap? Reading my poetry, delivered in a recognizable flow scheme. That's what he was doing. And he was saying things. Oh, my need for worship. You remember those records? There was a record on that record where it featured Praise, if I'm not wrong. Was it Praise or Bez? It was Bez. Bro, 17-track album, fantastic body of work. Then the era ushered in like a new wave of like indigenous rappers. Reminisce was there, Fino was there. Fino dropped No Gods, No Glory. Then they collaborated and released one album. Bro, Nigeria is a tribalistic country. We are looking at two people from different sides, opposing sides of the spectrum, collaborating and making an album. They are still friends till now. Creating that it is possible for us not to hate each other. They fight for each other. I remember an interview that Fino was doing with Dotsun in 2019 or 18 when he wanted to release his album, Deal With It. He was saying that people are trying to box him in. But he mentioned Olamide. Why are you trying to box me? I would try to box Olamide in. Like, you will know that there's genuine love there. So the legacy has been, Olamide's legacy was built like 6 albums ago. He was just doing a lot of things for sustenance and to get to the level that he wants to get to. And to be honest, after Lagos Nawa, it felt like it wasn't exactly the greatest album, right? So there was a gap. He was releasing songs. It was a little to the people that were in the top 2 rappers of his kind that were in the game at the time were Zlatan and Naira Marley. He was trying to replicate the things that those guys were doing, but to be honest, he couldn't do it. It's a different, like those boys can operate by certain rules. Olamide cannot operate by those rules. He's like, by the time he was already a family man, he was already a legend, so he couldn't do some of the things. He tried to do it with records like Pawon and some of these other records. I remember the interview that I had with him in 2020, where he was talking about the fact that I couldn't release the video for Woma. The reason why I couldn't release the video for Woma was, he said his manager told him that, guy, if you release this video, they will chop you raw, in quotes. That was what he said. Bro, he didn't release those things and he came back with Carpe Diem. Do you know what Carpe Diem is? Carpe Diem was the most played album in Kenya on Apple Music last year. Like, the most played album in Kenya on Apple Music last year. Infinity was the most played album in different East African countries last year. We are talking about impacts now. Like, that album took Olamide, when everybody was doing Afrobeats to the world, this is what's happening, Carpe Diem just drops. It was like, whoa. People didn't expect the album to be that great. You took attention because the Omale record was there, this record was there, that record was there. Brought him back. He reintegrated him back into the industry. And now the fact is, first things first, there are 3 people who can lay claim to being the greatest rappers in the history of Nigeria. Just 3. Just 3. That's Olamide, Emma Abaga, and Mood 9. The 3 of them represent different things. Olamide represents the mainstream appeal and it has a discography. Mood 9 has a way bigger discography, but it stands for the lyricism and the quality rap. Emma is like a marriage between both, but it also stands for the musicality, like the more polished music. It's more of the musician out of all of them. So whoever you put at number 1 is your problem. But when you look at the quality of the music and the impact and the sustainability, the legacy and everything, it's difficult for you not to put Olamide at number 1. It is very difficult for you. For me personally, it's my number 1. Whoever has a problem with it, go and argue on your Twitter page. Olamide is the greatest Nigerian rapper of all time. Period. Next question.
All right. Every single one he hits back to back.
Bro.
But can you rank his albums though?
Whew, that's difficult. At number BBNaija EP is an album. It's not listed as an album in some places. Listed as an EP on some platforms. Listed as a mixtape by some people. But essentially, it was an album. It's a 9-track project. I'm going to put it at number 10. So Olamide has released 10 bodies of 10 albums, 10 solo albums, 2 collaborative albums, one with YBL, the other one with Fino. So I'm going to, in my books, Unruly is number 10. It's number 11, basically. 999 EP was, in Olamide's words, he hadn't released an album the previous year, right? The solo album, so he needed to drop something. So the album was basically him trying English rap in some ways, trying like mixing up with commercial music that could obtain at the time and everything. But the album itself hit a snag, even though it had Rich and Famous, it's a fantastic record, right? So I'm going to put it at number 10. Lagos Nawa, I'm going to put it at number 9. Lagos Nawa was meant to look like a concept album, but the album didn't exactly have the panache and the bravado. It had a hit to go on, right? It's Olamide, it's obviously going to have a hit, right? But you have to look at the way the album panned out. The impact also wasn't quite there, right? So I'm going to put it at numbers 9. Then at number 8, I'm going to put it at Eyo Mayweather. Eyo Mayweather had some moments. Eyo Mayweather had some incredible moments, especially the title track itself, Eyo Mayweather, bro. If you listen to that title track, you are going to know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to put Eyo Mayweather at number 8. I'm going to put Rhapsody at number 7. Rhapsody was the introduction, but by the time, when you listen to the album again, it has some great moments. Like you're looking at the records like Kilegbe, you're looking at Eniduro, you're looking at the record with Wizkid, you're looking at some interesting records. But overall, had some things. The production, Kabasa did great, but you could chop some things out, change some things if you were to make it today. Even Olamide would have changed some things out by himself today. At number 6, I'm going to say UI Scooty. People are going to argue this because they're going to say the album didn't exactly have this. But in terms of like cohesion and collab and the output itself, it's Olamide's most cohesive album. It's created an experience and it's stuck to what it was doing. I feel like the album, when people listen to it like 3-4 years from now, people are going to understand. They are going to appreciate it better. And I also think one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't appreciate it was they made the Lagos drop first. Both of them are sort of cut from the same cloth. So if it was UI Scooty first, the perception might have been different. Do you understand what I mean? So I think UI Scooty at number 6. At number 5. At number 6. Then at number 5, I'm going to go for The Glory. People tend to forget that album when they talk about Olamide's album. In Olamide's catalog, you might have like 2 trifectas. So you're looking at YBNL, Baddest Guy Ever Lived, Street OT, or Baddest Guy Ever Lived, Street OT, and The Glory. The Glory was a fantastic album. You guys should go and listen to The Glory again. It's such a great album. Right? So The Glory at number 5. Then at number 4, I'm going to go for Street OT. Street OT is just that album. Long as well, some fillers here and there, but as an overall experience, I'm going to put it at number 4. YBNL is, for me, it's probably my favorite Olamide album. It's just my opinion. But when you look at the overall impact, the hits on the album, what it did for Olamide in terms of like when it came out, like Olamide has like 3 albums of the year wins at the Headies. 3. Nobody else has that. 3, bro, better. Right? And none of those, you couldn't argue against any of those wins. Literally. So, you're looking at YBNL. YBNL was an incredible album. Incredible, the experience was incredible, the impact and the hits. He basically, without YBNL, dare I say that, if YBNL hadn't worked to the level that it worked, Olamide might have struggled to establish himself the way he did. YBNL had to work. At number 2, I'm going to say Carpe Diem. It's a no-brainer. In terms of like quality as an experience, an overall body of work, tracks upon tracks, Carpe Diem is Olamide's best album. In terms of like quality, like there are no fillers. You can't take anything out. Nothing sticks out as anything that is wrong. Carpe Diem is that album. But what it doesn't have is the legacy and the impact and the quality. And for that time, what it did in the Nigerian Nigerian rap scene was Baddest Guy Ever Lived. Bro.
Everybody was taking pictures
bro,
like that.
You were taking that's cultural impact that you can't touch. The hits alone, the lines that became part of the zeitgeist in Nigeria. There are a lot of quotable. The line from Drosoke, bro, till now, it's what it is, right? You are looking. There are some other records that you go back to listen to it and you are like, wow. It's just like, the album is like the cement, when Olamide, it was Olamide in his purest form, Baddest Guy Valiant. Like as a rapper and as an artist. As an artist it was Carpe Diem, but as a rapper, as a music making rapper, not just someone who was obsessed with bars, it was Baddest Guy Valiant. It's in his purest form as an artist that was making music was Carpe Diem. But overall, no album had the impact of Carpe Diem. Had the impact of Baddest Guy Valiant. So for that reason, it's going to be #1, and that's facts on it.